What fires me up about this episode and this conversation is that it perfectly captures the entrepreneurial journey in phases. Andrew Erickson didn't just start out as a fund manager. He started out as a guy in San Diego's makerspace, carving out beer cap maps on a laser cutter, which is kind of crazy. And from that quirky little product, he scaled into an Amazon business, built a team, crossed the $1 million mark, and then eventually ended up selling it. But there's where it gets interesting. Andrew realized what all of us eventually realize on this entrepreneurial journey, that time and expertise will only take you so far. The real accelerator is capital. When you understand how to raise it, how to structure it, how to scale it, you stop playing in the small pond. You stop worrying about maxing out a $250,000 business and you start building things that can absorb millions. That's exactly how Andrew went from side hustles and corporate engineering gigs to raising capital for developments that are shaping the housing supply and market in San Diego. Now, I love this story because it echoes something we believe deeply at Fund Founders. The golden rule of investing has always been this: he who holds the gold makes the rules. Andrew understood that. He learned that you can have the best idea in the world, which is turning backyards into 12-unit apartment buildings, but without access to capital, the ideal never leaves the sketch pad. Once he tapped into investor capital, his vision scaled quickly, and it's really, really cool to watch. And this is where Founder Circle comes in, because the exact leap Andrew made from hustling to raising capital at scale, that's what we help people do every single day inside of Fund Founders Founder Circle. We give you tools, this legal docs, AI powered CRM, the investor psychology playbooks, and the community of other fund managers to help you do what Andrew did, but faster and with fewer mistakes, and with people holding you accountable every step of the way. So if you're interested, go to wearefundfounders.com/apply. Now, this episode is packed with lessons: how to spot overlooked opportunities, how to structure funds that investors trust, how to use AI to underwrite and scale smarter, and most importantly, how to think bigger than your current limiting beliefs. Andrew talks about how every time he leveled up, the ceiling of what he thought was possible got higher, and the floor of his limiting beliefs got higher too. That's exactly what happens when you surround yourself with the right rooms, the right mentors, and the right capital. So as you listen to Andrew's story, don't just think about beer caps, maps, or accessory dwelling units. Think about your own journey. What would it look like a year from now? You had your first fund launched, investors committed, and capital working for you instead of against you. That's the work we're doing every week inside of the Founder Circle. And if you're serious about stepping into that next level, head over to wearefundfounders.com/apply and join us. But for now, buckle up, because this conversation is going to show you exactly what happens when creativity meets capital and when an engineer turned entrepreneur learns how to turn backyards into cash flowing apartment complexes. Let's dive in with Andrew Erickson, because this thing is wild. Welcome to Funds on Fire, the podcast that ignites the passion of investment funds and capital raising. Here we turn the complexities of fund management into clear, actionable steps that drive results. I've invested into diverse real estate across the United States and managed thriving funds, and I'm committed to transforming lives through the vehicle of investment funds and helping others to do the same. Join me as we document the journey of scaling businesses, raising capital, and impacting tens of thousands of people around the world. My name is Devin Robinson, and welcome to Funds on Fire. What's up, and welcome to another episode of Funds on Fire. Today, I'm so excited to have Andrew Erickson on today. Andrew, it's crazy. We've never met, and Andrew is in one of my fund masterminds, and I was asking, does anybody want to be on the podcast? And what's really cool is, as I researched a little bit more about Andrew, as we connected a little bit, Andrew's doing some really cool things. Really, he's not just another guy flipping houses. He's literally turning backyards into apartment buildings, and it's awesome. And one of the other things, because he was on one of the calls and he was teaching one of the calls recently for our mastermind, I love automation and AI, so I think we're really going to geek out on that today. So I'm super pumped, fired up to have you on here. You seem like a really great guy. You also live in the most beautiful place in the country. I always tell people there's two places in the country. I've been all over the world. I've been to almost every city, every major city in the US. I live in two places: Charlotte, which I currently live in, or San Diego. That is it. And so you currently live there. I'm excited, and I'd love for the people to let the people know who you are, what you do, and tell us a little about yourself, man.
Awesome, Devin. I'm so excited to be here. So, like you said, I'm Andrew Erickson. We are buying single family homes and building ADUs in the back. And so sometimes people think ADUs are like little like backyard offices or something, but in this case, they're in San Diego. They changed the laws so you can build entire apartment complexes. So we're building 6, 8, 12 unit complexes on these properties. So it's pretty exciting. And on top of that, I love AI. I have
Yeah.
love being a dad. I had two little kiddos, 2.5 and 5. They keep me really busy. And like you said, live in San Diego, so I do the fun San Diego beach lifestyle. It's great.
Oh, I'm sure, man. Okay, now I do research, right? Like I do research,
Uh-huh.
and so I would love to hear a little bit about the journey. One, I'm also curious. Do you like Deion Sanders?
Sure.
You like what he's doing? Because you went to Boulder. I know you went to Colorado, and I'm always curious on like what people think about Dion at there. I know that's such a random question, but I'm like, okay, are you like diehard? I love Colorado. Like this is great, or are you just like, Dion's cool? I guess I don't know. I went
Yeah, I
through.
mean, I think it's awesome. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. They're all doing great stuff out there. And I, I went to CU Boulder, and so I love Colorado. And it's one of the only places, like you said, of all the places in the world that I would ever consider living. Back in Boulder, Denver metro area. I love that area. And Austin, Texas. Those are kind of my like. I've actually never been to Charlotte. So I need to put that on my list to go check
I
out. But
love it.
those are all my favorite spots. And yeah, but yeah, I'm a fan. Dion,
I love it.
let's go.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, now a little bit, kind of. I'd love to hear a little bit of your journey because if and correct me if I'm wrong. So you've done a little bit of coding in your life. You're carving beer cap maps by hand at one point. I thought that was really interesting. And so like you've gone from that to now you're building ADUs in backyards. I'd love to hear a little bit more of that journey to kind of like have gotten you to where you are today.
You did your research, man. I love it. Nice. So I have an engineering background. So I have an engineering degree, applied math and electrical engineering. And so I'm an uber nerd. I have, I like spreadsheets, all that stuff. And I just like creating. I like making
Yeah.
things. I like taking things from nothing and getting like these fun ideas. To me, like creating something new and different and special is what I love doing, right?
Yeah.
And so I worked for some big megacorps. Qualcomm is a big megacorp that I used to work for. It brought me down to San Diego. Actually, I should say the beaches brought me to San Diego.
Yeah.
Qualcomm is how I paid for it, right?
No,
I for it.
because something's got to pay for it.
Yeah. Corporate world though, you know,
Not for
it,
everybody.
not for everybody. It's
Mhm.
great for has a lot of perks. For me, I just like doing entrepreneurial things. Like I said, I like getting excited building new things and creating new things. And so I have a coding engineering background. I was a programmer for a while, and proper engineer and stuff. And I tried some side hustles in that. It's very difficult though, just to kind of be like a solo engineer trying to like make something, and it's hard. I thought I was gonna be like Steve Jobs or like some of these like Silicon Valley guys and like make a cool app. It's hard and competitive.
Yeah.
And so I'm always looking at entrepreneurial, blogs and podcasts and stuff like that. And there's this opportunity where people started talking about doing e-commerce. And so while I was having my big boy engineering job, I started making stuff. Doing woodworking at a maker shop, like a maker space. It's like
Mhm.
you're familiar with maker spaces?
Ma- Maybe. I mean, I guess what it sounds like a ghost kitchen or like some place where you can go and like sell, like use almost community
Yeah.
stuff to sell your products and things. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's like it's kind of like a gym membership, right? So for a gym membership, you pay $80 a month, and you get access to the treadmill and the weight rack and stuff like that, right? Same idea, but instead of a treadmill, you have a buzz saw, and instead of a table saw, instead of a weight rack, you have a high powered laser cutter machine. And so I'm like, let me see if I can make something. Just 'cause I like making new things,
Yeah.
right? Like make something new. And I tried making these beer cap maps. It's a very weird niche product. Google it. I
Yep.
guess if you have no idea what this thing is, but it's a thin piece of wood. So plywood, 5 millimeter, quarter inch plywood. And we cut it in this in the it cut into a map. So USA, California, Texas, like the outline of
Mm.
those places. And we put holes in them for beer caps. So you collect beer caps. It was a very 2017, 2015, 2016, 2017 era when craft beer was very big. Now
Oh,
it's
yep.
all seltzers and
Especially in San Diego.
all sorts of other not craft beer things. And we ended up making some of them. I listed on Etsy. The Etsy store took off. I ended up hiring a bunch of people at the makerspace, like the
Wow.
people who actually ran the machine, just like other people who were just kind of hobbyists like me. I ended up hiring like every single person in the entire space because you can only book 2 hours at a time. So I'm like, I'll just hire 6 of you guys and you just book 2 hours every single day. We'll book the entire machine for I don't know if I'm supposed to, but we did.
You
Uh,
follow the way.
yeah, and then I hired, those I don't know if they have them where you're at, but in Colorado or in, San Diego, there's, like, the guys who hang out the Home Depot parking lots.
I
Is that
feel
a
like those
thing?
guys are everywhere.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, they've gotta be.
Here there's just day laborers who hang out in the parking lots, right? And so I hired a bunch of those guys to do packaging, taping, whatever. So I had my big boy job. I would go and code with a whole bunch of other engineers, and then on my lunch break, come back and just like manage this team of day laborers, packaging and whatever. It was a hustle,
Yeah.
but it took off, and we ended up becoming, did really well on Etsy, and then I found a factory in China. We scaled that up on
Wow.
China, and then we
Did
became
really
number
well.
one seller on Amazon for that category. So we're doing that business never broke 1 million a year, but it was just short of 1 million.
Wow.
We then expanded to we were number one though, right? You can imagine it's not a billion-dollar industry, beer cat maps, right?
Never heard of them.
Yeah. But we're number one in the tiniest little pond possible, right? So we're a shark in a little,
Fun.
yeah. So we expanded out into wooden shelves of all things,
All right.
and we grew that company up pretty big. We had a full team in the Philippines, and that was what that business is what allowed me to quit my corporate job and go full time entrepreneur. And so we built that company up to a couple of million a year, and then sold it a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. Congrats on that, man. That's first of all, that's incredible. I'm curious. So you once joked on a podcast having like reverse ADD, and so it's almost like this idea. It sounds like you stick with something until it clicks, and you become hyper fixated. Is that because like I have ADHD and I'm all over the place? Do you feel like that superpower is like what helps you to kind of do one thing? It sounds like you do it really well. You find it. You got to find the thing. You do it really well. You scale it, you sell it, and then you go on to another thing, and then you dive into that. Because now, very similar, you sounds like what you said earlier, turning like something weird or not really thought of into something where like ADUs, sure, but nobody's building apartment complex ADUs. But now you're hyper fixated on there. So do you think like that superpower has been really useful for you along this journey? Because I thought that was a really reverse ADD is like a very interesting concept. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I get obsessed with things,
Mm.
and I get it where my entire YouTube I go down the YouTube, Wikipedia rabbit hole, and
Yeah.
I just get obsessed, and I pull, and I also like doing I just can't help myself but to like rip the business, kind of build a business plan around it and start thinking about how I can monetize it. And for me, I just get excited. I always say like I have hobbies for profit.
Mm.
Right, I just enjoy kind of building those business structures and stuff, and so, yeah, I do, I just and it's just natural, I don't have any
Yeah.
I'm just lucky, I don't know, lucky or maybe it's unlucky depending on sometimes I get a little obsessed, my wife's like, "God, please shut up about Amazon, please shut up about AI, please shut up about crypto, please shut up, like, you need a venue,
Oh man.
go to some meetup or do some podcasting, whatever, like, stop bothering me about these obsessions of yours that you have for, for whatever." So, yeah, no, it's good.
That's so interesting too. I love this because my wife, very similar. So I've got ADHD and I just say I'm 0 to 100 real freaking quick.
Mhm.
And I jump in and I'll dive into something and I feel the same. My wife has the same sentiment as yours, where it's like, oh my gosh, what is this new thing? What are we talking about? All these things. And so I think it's really fascinating. And I love that you said crypto because I'm extremely bullish on crypto. I'm going to transition this a little bit because I love funds. I love talking about funds. We actually started a thing where we want to help people to launch and scale funds and all those things.
Love it.
How do you, for you who, and I think we're in the same fund mastermind. You said before, never let cash get in the way of a good deal, right?
Yes. Love
So
it.
this idea of, and I think that's inherently somebody who knows how to raise capital well can say that, and somebody who knows like funds. Because for me, I'm also like I know I'm wrong when I say that in general. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it more because I'm also interested to hear like what made you go real estate when you have so many other things that you could have started a fund for, right? Like, sounds like you like Bitcoin or like crypto. Could start a crypto fund. Like what I'm kind of like there's two separate questions in there. There's the quote part, but then also like how did you dive into real estate specifically?
Yeah. Okay. So entrepreneurship or when you maximize your earning potential, right? There's three parts of the equation.
Mhm,
There's time or effort, really, because your mindset or
mhm.
mind share. I call it mind share. Like how much can my brain chew on this thing, right? Or how much can one's brain chew on something, right? So mind share, effort, time. It's all kind of one. That's one pillar. Expertise, experience and expertise, whether it's formal education or just like work experience, right? That kind of like that skill set. And then the third one that I then realized after kind of like doing a few of these things is capital, right? And so when you're on your entrepreneurial journey, you obviously, the expertise and experience thing, you can learn a lot through, YouTube University or through formal education or through experience or internships or masterminds. I learned so much from these masterminds. I love the masterminds. And then obviously, if you have whatever you're committed to or have effort to do, but then the capital part, I realize as I'm scaling up, as I'm moving up through my career, through my maximizing my potential, capital is the thing that like really juices everything.
Yeah.
So at the
You know the
beginning,
golden rule. He who holds the gold makes the rules.
I love it. I love it. Yes, 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 yes. So what I found is, early in my career, I was like doing freelancing on the side, which is absolutely no capital at all. It's just purely time. There's exactly that,
Sweat
freelancer,
equity.
sweat equity. Freelancer is zero capital. E-commerce ended up being, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of capital. But we got to the point where we scale these companies up to a couple million in revenue, and we have maybe a $250,000 in like operating assets, right? So inventory and operating cash flow and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And I found it very difficult. Once I'm at a 250,000, it's very difficult to deploy more capital in that business without having to scale up a team of like 20, 30 people. And the margins in that thing, it's not really there to have a team of 30 people, 20, 30. It's very difficult. And again, so if you want to throw $1 million at that, it's not really the kind of business you want to get into. And so I'm at, luckily, through a lot of hard work and savings and stuff, we're at that I'm at that level where I have more than the capital I have in this business. Where can I put it? And of course, real estate is where it starts to get awesome. So now I can see where I can take that. I can take $250,000 of my own money, 250,000 or a million, kind of. Let's just that's about how much I have to play with, right? For these kinds of effort, for these kinds of businesses, right? Now I start doing things like, okay, where can I deploy that kind of $500,000 worth of assets? And so I started getting into ADUs. I'm like, let me do one by myself. Let's go. And once got one going by myself, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This scales well. You can shove millions into this. I don't know about tens of millions, but the scale I'm at, if we can handle millions, right? Seven figures, not necessarily eight figures. We have to do something else when we get to eight figures. But then I'm like, that's when the next level is, let me start raising capital from other people. So I can take my 500,000 and then complement it with another couple of million from other investors. And that's where that fund thing. I've only been raising for a fund like this for just over a year and a
Mm,
half. And so like that's a part, like you start just scaling, right? Zero,
mhm.
thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and now we're at millions. And so like it's just fun. We're just getting started. So it's good.
Well, and it's funny because so literally my wife and I on the way to dinner last night were talking about this. It's this idea that as you like you said, experience, right? With the experience, you just learn because of what you've done in the past so much. You learn what the next level is because you're surrounding yourself by people who are actually doing it. So you get to a point in your life where you no longer take the advice of people that you like that your peers, but you're taking advice from people that are where you want to be. And then when we're in these rooms, like um, our Avester Mastermind, Raise Master, whatever it is, then you start getting around people who are now like, oh shoot, So like, oh shoot, this guy owns 6,000 units. Oh my gosh, this guy owns 10,000 units. And so I say that like the ceiling for what you dream to believe is possible raises, but also the floor of your limiting beliefs also raise. And so then there's just a new standard that continues to raise. And so for you, I'm really curious because I was talking to Phil Green, who I introduced you to. I set you guys up in a text message. Hopefully, you guys have connected. He was telling me about this ADU thing probably like 6 months ago. And he was saying that like you can buy a house and essentially because of the inaffordability in San Diego, they are letting you tear down a 1,500 square foot house and build a 6-story unit on it. Like in a lot of ways. So you should get with Phil because like he's even talked about the governor and things like that are really for this because it's really helping to solve the unaffordability crisis. And I was like, this is crazy. So he's doing it a lot. And it's wild the way he's able to do it. And so I'm excited to hear how you're doing it.
Dude, I love California so much, and California gets a lot of shit
It does.
because there's a lot of dumb stuff that happens here, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, you know, people always joke like, "Oh, I love California, but I don't like the government." I wouldn't go as far as to say that. I'm medium on the government, I guess. I don't know,
All right, there you
but
go.
yeah.
Sweet.
But the thing is that California had its success for so long, and they were able to be successful despite not allowing people to build housing easily.
That's right.
And now they're feeling that pain pretty substantially. Now that as everyone saw in the news, we had exodus during COVID. Uh, uh, and now of course we're getting a little bit of a rebound from that. We call it boomeranging, where people, you know, they're like, oh wait, it's hot and humid and buggy and tornado-y somewhere that's not California. Let's go back. But it's just so freaking expensive. And so number one reason that people state for leaving California is the cost of housing. It's not employment opportunity.
Mhm.
It's not schooling. It's not the traffic. Actually, San Diego actually doesn't have terrible traffic for a city. You know, it is the cost of housing, and so they're trying to solve that right now. And of course, there's a lot of things that get in the way because California is very bureaucratic. But one way that they're like shoving in some new housing is by allowing people to build in their backyard, and they can fast track this through. So it's not considered new development. So you don't have to do environmental studies. You don't have to do all these
Yeah.
different like big things. You're just adding a few units in the back. And then San Diego's like, oh, you're adding a few units? Well, if you qualify for that, like, hold my beer. Just do as many as you can get back there. Let's just shove it in there.
Now, how many are
Uh,
you saying? Like, I mean, so like, what's the lot sizes that allow for this?
so legally, if you're a single family home, and of course, zoning's complicated, so I'm not going to get into all the
Yeah.
nuances. But legally in California, the whole state of California, you can build one 1,200 square foot house ADU, a little dwelling unit,
Mhm.
right? And also, it's called a junior ADU, so it's like a garage conversion or an addition or whatever, like a 500 square foot kind of addition or conversion thing, right? That's legally required in every single city in the entire state of California. San Diego has this program called bonus ADUs, where every extra unit you add, you have to make it what's called deed restricted. I don't want to get too much of the nuances of this because some of these
Yeah.
details are boring, but you have to make half of them affordable, and half of them are what we call market rate. The affordability restriction, though, it's not that restrictive. You have to rent them to people who make less than 120,000. That's considered affordable in California, making under $120,000 a year salary, and you cannot rent them for more than $2,700 a month for a one-bedroom condo.
My gosh.
Yes, I know. Most people are like, "What?" And I'm like, even in San Diego, that's not very restrictive, but that's the rules they put in place. And what you think of it is affordable units really is just non-luxury housing. It's working class, regular, not even working class, even freaking nurses and doctors, whatever. Like it's like regular people doing regular jobs. It's housing for those people.
Mm, that's good. Now, I know you've made it pretty clear before that that this isn't Section 8 or low income housing, but you're also not building the luxury high rises. So when someone says, "Oh, $2,800 isn't rent isn't really affordable," how do you respond? And then like, where do you draw the line between impact and profit in these type of things? You know, because like that's the whole goal is to provide more housing, but also you want to make a profit.
Yeah. Well, and we don't rent them at 2,700. That's just our limit, right?
Yeah.
27, 2,800. And it adjusts with inflation too. It goes, goes up. But So they're effectively market rates. There's a few restrictions on them. There's no Airbnbs. These are long-term rentals. And it comes down to creating supply. It's no matter what people say, the rules of supply and demand, the price depending on supply and demand is 99% true. And so if you just create more supply, we create more opportunities for people to live in these units. And of course, these units, if you create supply of new units, then the units that are 10 years old kind of become just say less than premium. And the units that are 40 years old become kind of, what do you call that? Like even more affordable,
Yeah.
less, non-premium stuff. Right. And so just creating that supply allows us to should drive down the price.
Okay, so like I'm trying to picture this. So is this like you buy the house, you flip the house, somebody lives in the house, and then somebody drives past the same driveway to a 12-unit complex? Like how big is I'm still trying to
So we
get
keep
yeah,
the house. We
yeah,
we keep the primary
you have
home.
to, right? Because it's an ADU. It has to
Uh-huh.
have a
It has to be
dwelling. Yeah,
accessory
it has to be
to
accessory to the dwelling.
some dwelling, yes.
Nah, assistant to the
And
general manager.
yeah, so we have a two-story. So you imagine you have a lot of these houses are 80, 100 years old,
Yeah.
right? And they're on these kind of awkwardly sized lots where you have 8,000 square foot lots. So maybe a quarter acre or 0.2 acres, right? But you have the house is only like 800 square feet in the front. And even that, the original house might only have been 600 square foot, and there was an addition 30 years ago that made it 900 square feet,
Yeah.
right? So it's a
Mhm.
little tiny house with a big backyard. And now you take that big backyard that's just a flat piece of grass,
Mhm.
and we turn it
That.
into a two or three-story, housing units, and there's one or two buildings, right? And we go vertical, and it's an apartment complex
And they
now.
have garages, or did like where does everybody park?
You're not required to add parking.
On the street?
There's street parking, and a lot of these things it also has to be near high transit, um, options, so you have
Well,
to be within half a mile of transit options.
well, like all of San Diego is high transit options, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's kind of the awkward thing though, man, but, yeah, it's hard to add parking. We try to add parking when we can, and so, like, we're adding a 12-plex in one spot, and we're adding 7 parking spaces there, right?
Nice.
But it's hard, man, because you think about it, you think about, the cost of parking is insane, how much it costs to build housing for cars. We're building housing for humans, not for cars.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm curious, this is really good. So you said that you just launched this fund about a year ago. So you've been raising for it. So that means that you probably were using private lenders, things like that before as you were doing this, built up a track record, and then now you're raising for it. So what does that look like for you? How many are you trying to do now that you've got a track record, you've got the proof of concept, you've been doing this? And so then like are you perpetually raising or did you close the subscription or like what does that look like for you as you're continuing to build this? Because I would imagine, I mean, you want to build as many as you can if you can. And then I'm curious on like what the purchase price on these houses and you're all in on them is. Because I'm so curious now.
Mhm.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I love spreadsheets and stuff, so I we could get crazy
I
nerdy.
do too.
Obviously, spreadsheets don't translate well to audio, video, stuff, but so I'll give you high level stuff, right?
Before we continue, I wanted to tell you about something that's been an absolute game changer for fund managers and capital raisers just in general. If you're trying to manage any investor relationships with spreadsheet and scattered emails, I want to introduce you to FundFlow OS, the intelligent capital management platform that's transforming how capital raisers raise and manage capital. FundFlow OS gives you everything you need in one powerful platform: investor CRM, automated deal pipelines, distribution tracking, document management, AI powered tools that help you crush investor relationships, conversations, and close more deals. Whether you're raising your first fund or managing syndications or doing fix and flips or trying to raise capital to hold properties, FundFlow OS streamlines your entire workflow, track investors' commitments, automate follow-ups, generate professional reports, and even provide your investors with a branded portal to view their investments. Heck, if you're even lending, you also have a lending portal that you can have when you lend out your own money. Plus, the built-in AI tools, you can generate compelling fund summaries, craft persuasive emails, and get instant answers to complex investor questions. The best part, you can try everything completely free for 30 days. That's right, a full month to see how FundFlow OS can transform your capital raising process. Just visit funflowos/fire. That's FIRE. No credit card required. Stop managing investors like it's 2010 and step into the future of capital management with FundFlow OS. Go to funflowos.com/trial and claim your 30-day free trial now. Now back to the show.
The short of it is most properties are about $1 million that you're buying. Every property is different, of course, but you're usually buying something that's kind of old, kind of small. The average house, the median home in San Diego, including condos, is $1 million now.
I was looking, but we were going to move to Claremont 3 or 4 years ago, and it was like 800,000, and that was. But then we fostered and adopted one of our daughters, and so then we didn't move, but we were going to move out there. So we were looking in Claremont, and they were like 800, 850, something like that over there.
And that was 3 or 4 years ago. Those are all north of $1 million now.
Yeah,
Easy.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So generally buying a house for $1 million. The build, design and permitting and engineering, let's say 150,000, depending on how big you're building, but let's say 100 to make the math easy.
Mhm.
And then the construction is about $1 million also. And then you have about $250,000 in transaction, holding costs, transaction, brokerage, insurance, property, all that other kind of stuff that isn't just holding it, or that is holding it, not just the assets, right? And at the end, you're creating a property that should be worth $3 million. So big numbers: buy for $1 million, build for $1 million, $250,000 of transaction holding costs, and then selling for $3 million.
So like 750.
So you should be hopefully netting 750, maybe 500 if you're going to be conservative, right?
Mhm.
But somewhere in that neighborhood of like $500,000 to three.
How long does that take you to build? Like 8 months?
So from acquisition to we buy it, design it, permit it, build it, lease it, and sell it. All right, that's the 6 steps. That takes 24 months.
24. I was way off.
And now the actual build only takes 6 to 8 months. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the problem is that it takes 6 to 8 months. It actually takes more time
Permit.
just to get a thumbs up from the city than it does to actually have dozens of humans and tons of material come in and pop up a house that someone can live in. It takes more time.
Which is why it's a $250,000 of a holding cost. So like, and what's crazy is you just mentioned that they were fast tracking this thing.
It went from 1 year to, or what year, sometimes year and a half, to now fast track to 6 to 8 months.
Yeah. Wow. Now it sounds like though, then you've been doing this for a while. If you've gone through full cycles of 24 months multiple times, or just on multiple projects, you've been doing this for a little while. Have you come across, and I mean, has there been any instances where there's been regulations? Because I think you've posted something that was like, no more bonus ADUs, not so fast, right? And so like, have you come across, um, have you had to deal with any kind of regulation change? Have they tried to impose regulations? I even think of like how quickly Airbnb regulations spread in San Diego and their vouchers for that. But like, have you had to experience any of that? And have you dealt with it?
Yeah. But just to clarify, so I have a business partner who's a GC, and he's the one who's been doing the builds for years and years. I started doing this about 2.5 years ago.
Nice.
I've only gone full cycle on one project. We have 5 total that I'm on, and my business partner, who was doing this before as a GC rather than as a developer, he has another 5 before me. So these rules came out, just the first rule came out I think in 2018, but that was just like the one in your backyard. The
Yep.
bonus ADU program came out in late 2020. So it's only been around for 4 or 5 years. And yes, they're constantly changing it. They added stuff, and then they expanded it, and then now they're trying to put a few more restrictions on it. But they kind of are doing, they're kind of expanding, exploring, restricting, and expanding certain parts. So there's some new proposed legislation that will make it harder to build on single family lots, zoned single family, but most of our stuff is zoned multifamily. So we're taking stuff that's like again 800 square foot house, and it's zoned multifamily. It's just the laws in California never allowed anybody to build multifamily, because it's like It's multifamily, but
Yeah.
you could have to build one dwelling unit per acre. Like, okay, well, it's
What? That's
zero point
crazy.
0.2 acres, right? Like, you can, it's zoned multifamily, but you can't. And now they made it so you can.
Good.
Now, they are changing the rules though, and so likely we're gonna see a lot of changes in the next few months. They're not getting rid of it, they're just modifying it, and the big thing that I'm excited about is they're talking about being able to condoize these units.
Yeah, that's what Phil was talking to me about.
And
That's gonna be crazy
that's gonna be insane because that's
because you
gonna
can sell the
add.
apartment because you can essentially sell the units that you are renting have been renting out. You can sell them.
Mhm. Yep.
That's crazy.
And as far as I can tell, I haven't done, like, a full appraisal on it yet, but as far as I can tell, you get, like, a 15% premium, 15-20% premium, but it's not, like, a lot of extra cost. I mean, it's small, multiple thousands, small tens of thousands to get an HOA and those covenants and that kind of legal structure set up.
Mhm,
But then you potentially would increase the value of your property by 20%. So a $5 million property would become a $6 million property
mhm.
for $20,000 of HOA fees, right? The setup fees. So I'm like, oh, let's go, let's do it, let's do it.
That's awesome, man. That's and it's really cool because like I'm curious on like two parts. One, for you, how many of those are you gonna own and how many are you gonna sell? Like rent, own, sell? Because like if they turn it to the condo side of it, you can own one or two of the condos in the unit and then sell the rest, which would be incredible. Because then you can just rent those. That would be awesome for your portfolio. I mean, owning that much real estate in San Diego is insane,
Hmm.
insane.
Hmm.
And then the second side of it, in the capital raising journey as you have the fund, I mean, it sounds like you're pitching longer horizons of like 24 months for one deal. How are you managing that with investors? I mean, I'm even curious on like what the payout looks like. Are they investing and not seeing anything for 24 months? Like, what does that look like as you're raising capital and as you have that conversation?
Yeah, so do as little as 12 months and as much as 24 months, right? So it's in that kind of 1 to 2 year range.
Mhm.
And what we and there's no cash flow because we're developing, right?
Yep.
So we're not,
There's
there's a
no
holding cost,
distributions.
there's no distributions, right? Because there's no cash. And I talked to some people about that, and they said, yeah, what we do is we raise an extra 100,000, an extra 10%, so that we can give out 5% a year for 2 years in distributions. In my head, I'm like, that seems a little Ponzi
Is
scheme
that a
to
Ponzi
me.
scheme? Is that not? Is that
I'm like,
one?
why don't you just raise 300,000? You can give out 15% a year, and then you just keep doing that, and then you can be with your buddy Madoff and
Yeah, wait a
Mr.
second.
Ponzi, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I don't wanna just like give
Not
equity
worth
as
it.
cash. Yeah, so there's no cash flow. It's effectively it's kind of like a fix and flip model
Mhm.
where you get money on exit. Just it's 1 to 2 years.
Nice. Are you doing like a 2 and 20 or anything like that? Or are you doing like how are you what's their exit on it? Or is
Yeah,
it
so
just pref?
we take a management fee at the beginning,
Yep.
right? So 20,000 or something like that at the beginning, depending how big the raise is, obviously.
Yeah.
But 20-30,000 at the beginning as a management fee. And then there's a 8%. Yeah, every deal is a little bit different, but
Mhm.
8% pref, and then we go 18% tranche, right? So I'm assuming your audience is probably familiar with equity waterfall, the whole,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
they should
Okay.
be. I talk about it, yeah.
Dude, I have a hard time explaining equity waterfalls to people who are not finance
Yeah.
people. Um, but I'm assuming all of our audience here already knows
Yeah,
this,
they
these
are.
these
You should
terms.
be
Okay.
good. It's called
Uh,
funds on fire. They
yes.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So 8% pref, 18% tranche, right? So a 70-30 split for that up until the 18%.
Yep.
And then we do 70-30 the opposite way,
Out of the way. Nice.
where the managers get the lion's share, but then the investors can come all the way up with
It's
us.
another I mean, it's another performance incentive. So,
Mhm.
no, I love that, man. And I honestly I think everybody should do that. I'm like, why would you go 80/20 like indefinitely? Like you should definitely switch it up if you're performing at a high level. You deserve to be paid more and they should have no problem with it. So, I love that.
Yeah, and also I love the idea of a pref too. I'm sure all the funds on fire people are very convinced that prefs are cool. But it makes sense because for me, I would be okay with 50% of a small number. It actually might be a pretty decent return for me if I raise $1 million
Mhm.
and I get 40,000 for doing that. but the investor gets 40,000, that would suck. That would
Mhm.
only be a 4% return, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm like, no, you should give the pref makes sense. You should make sure that your investor gets their like cost of capital paid for first, and then you split after that, right? And so I just think it's such a great when I figured out the whole idea of an
Yeah.
equity waterfall, it like blew my mind. I'm like, that's the answer. That's how we do this. This is amazing.
Yeah, good. And I think a lot of people have, an issue, not an issue, but I think, like, a lot of times we think, "Oh, people are gonna wanna be paid along the way," or something like that, but, like, people just want their money parked into something that's actually gonna make money, and if they're compounding 8% over 2 years, they're getting 16, and then they get to participate in the waterfall structure, then, like, in the profit side of it, with carried interest, so then they're getting taxed at a capital gains rate, then, like, way, way better than what they were doing before, so it just makes sense.
Yeah. And everyone's different. So some people want to have the 5%, 4% bonds. Those aren't the people that we
Cool.
those that's not our avatar, right?
No.
Our avatar, so
No.
our number one goal is a return of capital. So don't lose anything. Number one rule, don't lose any money, right? Number two rule is look back at rule number one, right?
That's right.
Rule number three is we always want to make sure we can't say guaranteed, but we try as hard as we can to structure everything so that we can deliver over 20% a year.
Yeah.
And
And
so we go, obviously higher than 20% would be fantastic, but we structure everything so we can hit those 20% numbers pretty well, pretty
which
confidently.
which is fantastic, and it finds it's easier to do if you're on, like, a development side or, like, single family, you find good discounted properties, stuff like that. It's so interesting, so in North Carolina, right, in Charlotte, where we had a horrible market last year, just like, of course, in America, was the worst market in the past 30 years for single family sales. And so it sounds like it's nice because you guys are sheltered in a fairly high appreciating market no matter what the market's like. California will always appreciate. I feel like it will. It may not like
I
cash
hope
flow.
so.
You're not gonna get the cash flow, you're not gonna get all that stuff. It will always appreciate. That's one thing about California, and I think that's been good because, like you said, over 3 years ago, the houses in Claremont from 800, 850 to over 1,000,000, where the houses in Charlotte 3 years ago are the same now. 3 years ago. And Charlotte's one of the hottest markets in the country. And so, I mean, not the same, maybe 2%, 3%. There's not much appreciation at all. And so that's really nice that you could be able to, one, you're working with a longer horizon and you're giving the 20%. That's fantastic, man.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's cool.
And we assume zero when we do our numbers, we assume zero appreciation just to be conservative. But average appreciation in San Diego is 6% a year.
Yeah. That's
And so yeah, and that's average. Of course, it varies, but yeah, that's a nice thing. Is I'm like, oh, and also because I have a math background, so I do all these sensitivity models, and
mm.
started doing some Monte Carlo simulations, which is
I've never heard of that. What is that?
I love them. But I'm a nerd,
No,
so
no. I think everybody need to hear about what this is. What is the Monte Carlo
okay.
simulation?
So imagine let's just look at the stock market. Okay, you have 10% return a year, right? But half the time it's 0, half the time it's 10, half the time it's 15%. I guess those math doesn't work out that quite. So half the time it's 5%, or sorry, third of the time it's 5, a third of the time it's 10, and a third of the time it's 15%.
Mhm.
Let's just go with that, right, to make the math easy. Okay. So then what you do with a Monte Carlo simulation is you just look, imagine, okay, this year I'm gonna run it, I'm gonna run 100 variations, 100, I'm gonna roll the dice 100 times, or I'm gonna have 100 games, 100 games, right? And each one I'm gonna randomly choose 5%, 10%, 15%. Okay. So in the first year, a third of them went up 5%, a third of them went up 10, a third of them went up 15%. Okay. The next year you do the same thing, but it's random again.
Mm.
And so one third of one third have gone up 5%, one third of one third have gone up 5 plus 10%. And you just keep running that over and over and over again. It's kind of like it's like you're looking into the future and you're letting the math like look into the future for like 5, 10, 20, 50 years.
Mm.
Right. And then you look at the very end, how many of my futures have me losing money? How many of my futures have me making like good, solid returns I'm happy with? And how many of my futures show me making a bajillion dollars? Right. And so you can then say like, okay, well, 20% of my futures, or 3% of my futures, I lose money because that's it's a risk, right?
That's right.
50% of my futures, I look really good, and 20% of my futures, I'm doing fantastic, right? And so that's a
Run
Monte
the play.
Carlo simulation.
Run the play. That sounds like a run the play. Sounds like you just do it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
And then of course you
sort of-
get a little more complicated. Okay, I won't get into too many of the numbers. You get a little more complicated. You start doing standard deviations and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So
well,
yeah,
and I think it's necessary too because I think, especially with just like the emergence of the popularity of funds, I think a lot of people don't do enough mitigating risk or even running those sensitivity models and things like that that I think are very important. Now, I know, because like we're called funds on fire, and so I think about like the things that fire you up. It sounds like ADUs. I generally wait until after, but like I actually kind of want to transition into like AI and crypto, just because like that's
oh my
you
God,
mentioned it.
let's do it. Let's
You
do it.
mentioned it. So, but let's go ahead and finish like the ADU conversation
Yep.
real quick. Okay, so I know that you've said at some point that your goal is 100 ADUs by the end of 2025 this year, right? Like, is
Yep.
that what you said that?
End of 26.
End of 26. Okay, end of
Yeah.
26. So, two questions. Um, what would be your dream 10-year vision look like for something like that? Like, because like that's the end of 2026. We don't know what regulation holds, but I think like it sounds like you love time with your family, you love the beach, you love like the lifestyle and not necessarily being caught up in the corporate world, but like owning that time for you. So what does that look like? And then also the second part of it. So what does capital raising like? How much would you be looking to raise? Man, sorry for this layered question too. How much would you be looking to raise for 100 ADUs? And then like, do you still feel like it's sustainable to return 20%? No guarantees on that because you'll have people who listen that are like, I want 20%. And like, is that still a sustainable model when you're raising significantly more to build 100? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I think ADUs, like I said at the beginning of the hour, the you start stepping up in the amount of capital you have, right? So when I had $0, I was a freelancer, right? When I was out of college, right? I actually had negative money. I was in debt, right? So I had a negative net worth. I celebrated when I was 25. I was officially broke instead of negative net worth, right?
Negative. Yeah.
And so as you grow, as you get more and more capital, then you do bigger and bigger games. I think ADUs are not. I don't think you need north of $10 million what we're doing for ADUs. So when we get past, we've raised $3 million in the last 12, 15 months.
Nice.
And so our cadence right now is to buy a property every quarter, five a year or one a quarter, right? And and then raise $1 million per quarter. And we're pretty on spot with that, pretty on
So
par with
pretty
that.
open ended. You've kind of let it. Are you under the same? Well, you have a customizable fund with Avestor. Are you just doing new deal disclosures, or do you have the one deal and it's continually opened?
That we have single deals. Every deal is individual, right? So when people invest, they invest on a single address, and that single
Oh, so
address
like
sometimes is 12
you're doing a
months and sometimes
ton of like
24.
mini syndications,
Yeah.
like, but it's in a customizable fund. Okay,
Mhm.
cool,
Yeah,
nice,
everyone we're raising 500,000 to 1 million on each one.
nice. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And so the bigger ones when we go beyond ADUs. And the big thing I think is uh what you were actually alluding to, what Phil is, who's a big real estate guy here, is this thing they have right now. Who knows what it'll be like in the future, but complete communities where you can take a 8,000 square foot lot and build 25, 30 units on that
Mhm.
and go 6 stories, 5 or 6 stories up. Right. And so like that kind of stuff, I would love to do that kind of stuff in the future, or even whatever the next project is beyond that. So potential, bigger, better stuff than that.
Cool.
Right. So
And
bigger
it's
units.
just because the floor of our limiting beliefs continues to raise, and the ceiling
Mhm.
of what we believe is possible also continues to raise,
Yeah.
and especially when you get around different people and the right people. Well, cool. Awesome, man. I love that. All right. Now, I know I was on the call with you when you were doing a lot of automation with AI and things like
Oh,
that. So
so before we move on, if anyone is interested, our group is called The Next Wave group.com. And if you want to check out our website, we have a contact form there if you want to check it out. Also, if you are a fund, we have really good fund economics if you want to do a fund of funds, and we can do that
nice.
too. So somebody brings in capital, we generally have enough meat on the bone to give whatever capital is brought in 5 to 10% a year of capital contributed. So you
Nice.
brought in $1 million, we'd be able to write a check for $50 to $100,000.
I mean,
It's inside the equity waterfall though, so it's a little complicated on the how that works. But would love to reach out, love to have anyone reach out and talk about it.
yeah, I love that. That's awesome. I definitely will put that in the notes, and I definitely was gonna follow up with that at the end because I want people if this sounds really awesome to them, then they should definitely be investing into this 'cause, I'm like, "Man, how do I build one of these so I can own" like, once it gets doing the condos, I'm like, "I
Let's
will
do
wanna
it.
own a couple of those, out there in San Diego." That would be legit. Okay, cool. So, yes, reach out to him because that sounds fantastic, and it sounds like you've historically given some pretty good returns with it, so, that is great. Now, I love talking about AI, the use of AI, because I think you are using an automated, almost essentially an automated underwriting model,
Mhm.
that I think is really cool. And I guess if you could kind of like break that down, I would love to hear. Is it just a custom GPT, or is it something that you've built out a little bit more? Of course, you've trained it if it's a custom GPT and things like that. But what was that process like for you? And what do you use your AI models for mostly in what you're doing?
Like I said, I get madly obsessed with things, and that Chat GPT moment that came out last year, or it was a year and maybe 2 years ago now. Oh my god, that tickled me, and I was
Nice.
obsessed. I was literally watching 4 or 5 hours of YouTube on that stuff and doing stuff with the AI tools right when it came out every single day, 4 or 5 hours a day. And again, that's one of those things where I told my wife about it. She was like, "That's cool.
Mhm.
Okay, you've been talking about it for a while." Oh my god, shut up about it. Right?
Yeah.
And so here's a fun one. Here's a fun little story thing. So I actually, when it first came out, okay, a little blurry. Okay, when it first came out, I wrote a book for my daughter who was 2.5 at the time.
Yes.
So we
Nice. Like.
have all these. I don't know if we have audio or visual here, but
Yep.
for some of our people, but it's a book of dinosaurs that are made of vegetables. So these are for this is my 2-year-old daughter. It's all created by AI. It was fun, kind of a fun project. You can buy on Amazon. Pangea Picnic if you want to buy it there.
That's awesome. I love that, and
Yeah.
it's funny because I do very similar stuff with my kids, like, I'll turn their drawings, like, on their regular piece of paper
Yes.
into actual, like, things, and they love it, it's so cool.
I love it. That's fun. Dude, my daughter there's I see our special guest behind you there.
Yeah.
My daughter now, we try to limit screen time, do the whole thing, whatever, but I also
Best
kinda want
you
her
can.
as best I can. I'm not allergic to it, but, yeah. Uh, but we do this thing, I only let it happen once a week, but we do a AI story night.
Yes.
And, gotten to the point now she just turned 5, so I'm trying to have her help me tell stories and her come up with the stories as a kind of creative exercise, right? But then she and I are talking to the AI, and she will say, "Tell me a story about a little girl who has a pink dress, who likes unicorns, who, plays softball with her friend Luca every weekend," right?
Yeah.
And then it creates a story, and then she'll, like, interrupt it and say, like, "Oh, tell me more about the unicorn," and, like, she's using the AI and interacting with it and building stories with it. It's really fun. It's super cool stuff.
Well, and it's incredible, and so I've if on my Instagram, I have, like, probably, like we do a bunch of different prompts with the kids, so, like, one day it's the cartoon when the whole, like, cartoon thing was fun.
Mhm.
So then, like, I have, like, all of our family's ones and then, like, the prompt at the end. And so I've been doing that a lot lately because, like, they have such great, like, times using their imagination. I think it's such a really cool way to supplement imagination
Mhm.
and, with a ton of different ways, and I think, honestly, it's the world that they're gonna grow up in. So,
Mhm.
the fact that if even at all, like, I'm inhibiting the opportunity that they have to learn it now and become comfortable with it now and grow with it now and have the conversation and for it to be normalized for them, the better I think they'll be in the long run because they're used to it. It's something that they've
Mhm.
grown up with. Because I also think, and I was on another podcast just now, we were talking about this. I mean, with the emergence of humanoids and things like that, it's very normal. We were thinking that humanoids are on like a 3-year at the end of this year, there's gonna be robots in people's houses at the end of this year.
Mhm.
And so it's just one of those things where, like, it's coming way faster than we expected or think it, and I think I would be negligent and remiss to not prepare my kids for it, and so it's so important.
One of my earliest memories, so I was 3 and a half, 4 years old, my dad had, showed me how to use a keyboard, and he had a little Post-it note on our one of those big computers at the house, right? The CT monitor, so it's
Yeah.
like it's 12 inches wide and 24 inches deep, right? And he had a little Post-it note, and he showed me how to type, uh, Lening
Yeah.
lemmings.exe. right?
Fun.
And that's how I had to learn how to, if I want to play a game, I had to learn how to use the keyboard to freaking type a command into the stupid DOS terminal, right?
Yeah.
And I was like 3 or 4, right?
That's
And then we also got the internet for the first time. I was the only kid that I knew in my elementary, or at least on my street, that had the internet in 1994, 95, right? And it was amazing. And I was 6, 8, whatever it was. And it's just like, it opens your mind. It blows your mind. The whole thing's fantastic. And I hope we can do that same thing for our kids. And I think it's AI.
100%.
And I think maybe it's robots, and I think whatever it is, it's gonna be something fun. Let's make sure that they're exposed to it.
They're exposed to it, they're prepared for it, and that they're not afraid of it. Like, they know how to use it and aren't afraid of it, because I think there's too many people that are just like, "No, no, no, keep my kids away from it, that's the devil." Or, like, even just like, "That's cheating, that's this, that's that," and it's like, what do you think their adult life is gonna be? Th that's all they're gonna do. Like, I actually think that we're in this sweet spot of human history where, like, 50 plus years ago, it was too hard. It was so manual. 50 plus years in the future, it's gonna be too easy. And I think right now, there's this nice mix of, like, human effort and technology that we get to teach our kids in, and I think it's really interesting.
So I love formal education, so not dissing formal education,
Yeah.
right? My wife's a teacher, my dad's a professor, right? But there's this idea where you don't ask the person next to you to help you on your homework or help you on the test, because that's cheating. You're
Mhm.
asking someone else to help you. What are you talking about? That's what we do all day long as business owners and
Right.
workers and whatever. You want to ask, collaborate, right?
Yep.
The people on the bottom compete, the people on top collaborate,
Yep.
right? And so like, yes, we need to be able to embrace all these things.
Yeah, that's right. Cool. How and I
Oh,
mean,
so,
I
yeah,
I feel
let's
like I monopolized the end of this conversation. I wanna hear for you on how you're using it.
so how do we use this effectively for our real estate professionals or entrepreneurs, people who are doing this stuff? So obviously, first of all, it's incredible for marketing.
Mhm.
Right. And so for me, I still have the ideas, I still have the concepts, I still have the things I want to promote. I just, the actual mechanics of writing out emails, I don't do any of that anymore. Right. The
Yeah.
AIs do all that. Also, a big thing is like, I created a thing, help me improve this thing. Right. And so you can prompt, and so every single piece of thing I create, even with the AI helps me create it. Like, okay, I'm going to write this. I have this concept of an email. I want these 3 things, and the AI writes all out, and I'll edit a few little things. And I'll take that and put it into a different AI and have this Grok or ChatGPT or Claude. They're all great. All of them are really good. They have kind of different pros and cons. They're all really good though. Put into a different AI and say, critique this. Tell me how to make this better. You are an expert presenter. You're an expert capital raiser. You're an expert real estate investor. An expert whatever. Don't hold back. Critique this so I can get better. And that is one of my favorite ways to kind of like learn how the AI
Good.
help me create new things.
That's good.
So marketing, of course, is pretty easy because obviously text-based marketing, also the PDFs. Take all my slide decks, download them as PDFs, upload them, and say, "Here's my slide deck. Help me improve." Double check for spelling and grammar mistakes, and help me improve this. How do I make the flow better? What should I add? What should I subtract? What part's lacking? What part is needs to be expanded on? That helps a lot. Okay, so that's all. That's something that every single person should be doing. If
Mhm.
you're the kind of person who's listening to this podcast, you need to have these AIs help you critique all these things. It's together. It's a team. You and the AI. You're fusing to, as one. You should be doing that.
I actually think people shouldn't be thinking of AI as a tool, but as an employee. Like, literally as an
Yes,
employee and somebody on your team. 100%.
exactly. Yes. Yep. 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 So that is a for everyone thing. Now here's another step. If you want to nerd out even a little bit further,
Always.
we so because we have a fairly defined criteria buy box, right? And so we have about 15 zip codes that we buy in. It's all in the city of San Diego, and we have to have a certain lot and a certain whatever and a certain this, a certain zoning, right? And so what I have is I have a tool that scrapes Redfin and scrapes MLS, and it pulls down every single property that's for sale, filters it into the certain high level criteria, certain zip codes and certain whatever, certain size and certain whatever. Then takes all those filtered things, pulls information from the city on the zoning, pulls information from Property Radar and what's the other one? Scout Red, Red Scout. I always forget. Scout Red, Red Scout, whatever. Some website. So it pulls from those websites, and we're scraping. I use
Mhm.
Make.com. Great tool,
Yeah.
very
It's
easy,
way more
very approachable.
customizable than, like, Zapier and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great. Zapier's good too.
And
Make.com is great. If you want to get even crazier, I've not done this yet, but
NGN.
N8N.
N8N. That's what it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I've not actually played with that, but that's kind of like the next level up, right?
Mhm.
We pull out information in and then we do a quick underwriting on it. So we take that information and we can then figure out like how many ADUs can we build on this? And we can also pull the rent information. So if we know the rents, we know how many units we can build, we know our costs, we know our acquisition cost is the retail price, right? And then we create a quick underwriting on that property and we can say how much do we need to buy the property for, how much would be netting, how much all these different numbers. And that allows us to underwrite every single
That's awesome.
property in the city of San Diego. And then, and of course, we have a VA who checks some of the stuff. And then, so we're only picking the cream of the crop. And now I can say very definitively that we look at, that we have numbers for every single property and we only pick the best properties. And that's how we're able to get the 20% plus.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, man. And I think like that's so good because I think what you just said specifically, you said that's how we're able to get that 20% plus. I think that that will be the differentiator moving forward on funds that are really successful is their application and the way that they pivot and adjust to the changing times and then not like when robots can paint a house for you, then like have the dang robot paint a house instead of going out and paying like cost of labor goes down. Now, granted, I know there's a lot of things that people would rather do, but I think also, like you just said, that's how we're able to get the 20% because one, you're lowering your expenses by paying somebody to do that, paying an analyst to do that stuff, and then you're expediting your conversion cycles and your time horizons and timelines because it does it significantly faster. So
Mhm.
I really do think that there's such an um, interesting way to leverage and arbitrage AI that people just aren't taking advantage of. So I love that
Yep.
you are, bro.
Do you know what's another one that's really fun that I started
Yeah.
doing? This might be everyone probably already knows about ChatGPT. Like you can put text and everyone knows that. Okay, here's a fun one that maybe some of the listeners don't know about. Notebook
Oh
LM.
my gosh, it's so good.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay, good, good.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Google owns this. It's one of their little apps or whatever. A Notebook LM. They have this thing where you can put information in. So you can put PDFs, websites, just type stuff in, and so you kind of put like a little repository, and you say, "Make me a podcast on this," and it creates a kind of 10 to 15 minute podcast of two people talking, and it's
It's incredible.
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 And I take these new ADU regulations when there's like new proposed laws and stuff, and these other like really complicated. These are 120 page regulation changes, and they're proposals. They're not even in effect yet. They're just like we might consider some of these things, right? Oh, I can't sit there and read things that are proposed, right? And so I throw it into the LM, and I'm like, just give me a little chit chat on what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then they'll
So
go back and forth and talk. And I'm like, good. I have kind of at
it
least a high
sounds
level understanding of it.
so good.
It's
It
awesome.
It's crazy, the conversational aspect of it, insane. Well, cool, man. This has been Andrew, I'm so glad that, we've gotten connected and been able to chat here. I'm really excited for, one, you to get connected with Phil and, like, kinda the synergy that you guys are gonna have with that. Now this podcast, as I said, is called Funds on Fire. What's one thing that has you fired up going into, I guess, the rest of 2025?
Fired up. Well, I guess ADUs. I'm excited about ADUs. I'm
Oh,
excited for this concept of like how do we elevate ourselves when we take, like I said, the how we maximize our potential as we take our effort, our abilities, our time effort, right? Time and headspace, combine it with our expertise from experience and from education, and then scale it with capital, right? And that's where these funds on fire, this capital raising thing is so amazing. So if you do have the deal, you have the expertise, you find the capital, and you make it happen. And like you said, Devin, I always say is never let cash get in the way of a good deal. And you said, "Oh, that'd be easier for you to say when you raised your when you already are capital raising." That's the opposite, actually. It was the idea that never let cash get in the way of a good deal led me into capital raising
nice.
because the world is flush with cash. It's not flush with good deals. It's not good. Not well. I should say it is flush with good deals. It's just there's more cash available than there are good deals available, And so if you have a good deal, that's the rare thing. That's the special thing. The capital is out there. You just have to go find it. You have to go find those people, find those institutions, find those fund to fund managers, and you partner those things together and make beautiful, amazing things.
Nice, man. I love it. Again, where can people find you? One, if they want to invest with you, if they want to learn from you, if they want to follow along with you in your journey, man.
Yeah. So thenextwavegroup.com is our website. So we have our contact information there. Also, my email is Andrew at thenextwavegroup.com. And also, if you want my Instagram, it's fun. If you want to see, I add and chat with people all the time on Insta, and it's the Andrew Erickson. And you'll see me with my kids, and I post some other real estate stuff on there too. But I'm always DMing people and chit chatting there too. And LinkedIn also, Andrew Erickson on LinkedIn.
Yep. Very cool, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thankful for your time. Excited to connect and excited to see where the world takes you, man. Thanks so much.
Devin, thank you. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for having such a amazing community. And I'm excited for the whole thing.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed that. I have a quick favor. If you've been enjoying the show, there's one simple way you can support us, and it's by hitting that follow button or that subscribe button on the app you're listening to. I want to level this podcast up in every single way possible, bringing you more value, incredible content and guests, and new strategies. Following the show and leaving a quick review goes a really long way in helping us to grow and continue to deliver top tier content. It's the only free thing I'll ever ask you to do, and it makes a bigger impact than I can possibly put into words. So thank you for being a part of this journey, and I'll definitely catch you on the next episode. To great success and greater impact. Peace.